Hello, welcome to Yoga for Sleep. Tonight, if you have a bolster, we're going to be using some support like that. So if you're doing this from home and do not have a bolster, your couch cushions have that nice firmness that might actually work, or two pillows. And if you can actually try putting two pillows in one pillowcase, it might give you the firmness, similar support to a bolster. And probably two blocks if you have them handy as well, and some wall space. Tonight, we're going to go through some very deep restorative postures. We're going to be using some essential oil in the studio here, so grab yours if you like. Some sleepy time ones that I'd recommend are lavender if you've got. I probably would just go with lavender, but if you have a favorite that's a soothing blend, you can grab that. And kind of nice to do this practice just before bed, as we're going to go through some sleep tips and wind down your nervous system and your muscles so you can get a good sleep. So if you're doing this from home, I'd love for you to send me a message. You can message me on email or socials and just let me know what you thought and did it have any effect on your sleep? Because yeah, I'm kind of very protective of my sleep, and I think we all should be, and I'm hoping that it does you some good. So I'm going to pause this here and we'll get started shortly. Yeah. Oh, goodness. Isn't that the case? Like, we're so busy that when we sit down and just lay back, that the body's like, yeah, out for the count. But do you fall asleep well normally?
No,
No, you have a hard time falling
I
asleep.
sleep well, unless I've had hot bath.
Yeah, because I was hoping there was more people just to kind of go around and see who falls asleep well, who doesn't fall asleep well, or who of those that fall asleep well wake up at that 3 o'clock hour, right? Because that's pretty common. And
I find if I have a bath that results before bed,
yeah,
I don't wake up in the middle of the night.
See, that's muscles for sure, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I go to bed and flip flop, then I'm up later on too.
Yeah, agreed. Well, and that's a real thing, like the restless legs and your body's too. Yeah. Because I go to sleep no problem. I've never had a problem falling asleep, but staying asleep sometimes is the thing. And that's a cortisol spike. So, okay. Well, anyways, let's get started. So, I'm gonna give you a couple of suggestions for your first position here, coming into our opening Shavasana pose. So if you have your bolster, I think it's kind of nice to try a Supta Baddha Konasana, but using your bolster under your knees. So this is like a restorative style Supta Baddha Konasana. So that's the soles of the feet together, knees bent. So I'm gonna let you guys be your guide. Anything that's not comfortable, not working your body, of course, find something that is more comfortable. But having the support of a bolster or pillow under the knees or back of the thighs just allow the muscles to relax here so you're not gripping or holding. And then you can walk the shoulders slightly under the body so you create that space and that cushion for the heart. And perhaps the arms can just fall open at the side. Palms facing upward in a gesture of receiving, or if you're feeling called up, palms down in a sense of grounding, connection. And it's here that we're gonna just begin to sense the pattern of our breath. You can become aware throughout your day what your breath is like in times of stress, of dizziness. Do you tend to hold your breath? Does it become more shallow? And just the awareness of that is a huge step towards creating a longer container of breath. So notice that throughout your day. Just, where's my breath at? With every exhale, allow the eyes just to fall a little bit heavier. your attention to go to the breath following the inhale and the exhale. And if your mind likes to wander and go off, call it back to watch the breath. And if that's a bit of a struggle, you can even count the breath in if that's helpful. Our focus tonight is finding ways that work for you to send the body into relaxation mode so ultimately you can rest and recharge with a good night's sleep, that elusive good sleep. In an ideal world, we have all the time in the world to have this wonderful routine before bed, but we all know in reality that often doesn't happen. But we can take the pressure of having a whole routine and just whittle that down to even just a few mindful breaths before bed. Maybe it's 5 minutes of legs up the wall before bed. So it doesn't have to be a whole hour or this huge planned out. It's just something that brings the body into that rest. It signals that it's time for rest. Staying with the count of the breath as you watch the inhales and exhales. I want you to think of, on the exhale, the body dropping even a little more, beginning to pool in your mat. On your next breath in, let's welcome in that nice, deep, cleansing breath. Then open the mouth and let it out. And do another full, deep breath. And one more. Let the breath be soft, the body be soft. And maybe this is where you can call in an intention as I am peaceful, I am restful, I am relaxed, whatever calls to you. And just plant that intention. Just do a scan of the body. Start with the toes and the feet, the lower legs, noticing anything that's going on, how relaxed are they, is there anything signaling any discomfort, the knees, the upper legs, the lower torso, low belly, the upper torso, the arms, the hands, shoulders, the face, the head, whole body. How is the whole body feeling at this moment? Just aware of how the body feels, giving it this moment to be still. Tonight, I'm going to guide you through some very gentle, mindful movements where we're using our bolsters. You're welcome to keep your eyes closed as we move through whatever serves you, just this nice container of relaxation. So from here, we're going to just begin to bring the knees back together, planting the feet on your mat. We'll just slide your bolster out to the side. We'll allow the knees to fall over to the right. And if you have your pillow or bolster, you're always able to have them on the side. If this is, I don't want any sense of gripping to hold, so you can allow the body to be heavy. It's nice if you have a block just to prop there, or whatever you've got, just so you're not holding. When we do restorative postures, there's a lot of work to be done to signal to our nervous system that it's okay to rest. We spent all day ramping up our nervous system to an extreme degree with all the bombardment of images and sounds and multiple things going on, that it's overworked, it's overtaxed, and it's getting harder and harder for it to come down. So any chance we get to support it by using these blocks and propping and just sending breath, we're teaching the body, remembering how to come into rest. All throughout the practice, I just want you to check in, do the thoughts wander, and if they do, when you remember, call them back to watch the breath. On your next inhale, you're going to guide your legs back up to center. You can shift your props over to the left side. And maybe you've got a few pillows going on at home, which is just nice. You can kind of surround yourself. And then as you're ready, let's take the knees over to left. There might be a difference in side to side. That's very normal. Just notice where you might need some different support and honor that. Check back with the breath as it becomes shallow. Just welcome in that restful breath. Here, you can take your hands, guiding your knees back up to center, setting your props to the side. Try to bring the knees into chest, hugging them in. And take a little bit of movement if that feels nice. And then bring the feet back down to the mat. We're just going to guide yourself up to seated. So however that looks. And have your bolster handy here because we're going to end up in a little child's pose after this here. But I want to come into I just know it as fire toes, but if you've got some feet issues, this may feel nice or may not. So I just want you to be honoring your body. I don't know if you can see at home, but I'm basically on my knees and I've got my toes tucked under. And this may be a lot right there just to open your toes, maybe. Maybe it feels good to take your hips down and sit on your heels, maybe. Maybe not. So yeah. Another thing you can do is put your bolster behind your bottom and just sit on the bolster as you come back towards your feet. So for me, I'm going to stay up and just have my knees, my feet. So I got my toes at a good, almost a 90 degree, or it feels like a 90 degree angle on the ground. We're doing a lot of opening in those toes. I'll share with you, this was my, well, I think it's probably still one of my least favorites because this is fine, but there's a rebound that it gets me. So yeah. So if you're just staying upright, you can take your hands to waist, a little bit to the lower back, just give yourself some support. You can just look up to the ceiling if you'd like. It's just really a little bit of distraction to the feet. The head over to one side and over to the other. Back to center and then rise. Okay, we're going to stop here just for a moment. What I want you to do is untuck those toes, and maybe you're feeling quite a bit of sensation. Yeah, I do. Come down to tabletop here, and very gently, let's just tap out the tops of those feet. Nice and gentle, but this may not feel gentle in your body. I just know it as fire toes because that's how I experience it. Okay. And from here, I'm going to introduce you to reclining hero pose. And this is one that I'm not going to demo, but I'll walk you through it. So actually, we'll start by taking your bolster behind, lengthwise behind you. And if it's comfortable for you to sit back on bent knees, which is not for me today, you can sit down and put your bottom even onto the bolster. Yeah. And then you're going to work yourself maybe back. Maybe your back is going to connect with the bolster, which I'm just going to walk you through it. So, nope. This is going to get into those quads to open up. But if you're feeling joint, a lot of people do feel it in the joints of the feet. So that's not really the goal. But you're not sitting on your feet might splay out a little bit. Yeah. Yeah. So some people just like to sit back and that's it. Maybe begin to walk your hands and support yourself as your back begins to lean back. Maybe you come all the way back onto your bolster. So as long as you're not feeling pain, yeah, this gets into those quads. It's also getting into the tops of the feet. Yeah, nope. But even just a little bit, it's a nice opener in those areas. For sleep, a lot of times those are tight muscles that causes those issues. So just have that in mind. Maybe it's not your favorite tonight, but it is one that you might want to try again. If you're in it and you're enjoying, just stay here and breathe. And if you are not feeling this is your pose, let's reposition and come into a supported child's pose. So if you're in the reclined hero, breathe through this. And when you feel that it's becoming too much, you're ready to come out. Just take a few more breaths before you gently come up. And then we'll all meet in a supported child's pose. So I have my bolster lengthwise under belly. My knees are wide. And I'm just going to sink down and sink my left cheek to bolster. So we're kind of just loving up our bolster tonight. So the idea here is to feel supported and held. If you're feeling any body part talking to you and it's not feeling good, then I would suggest just coming straight onto your tummy, just laying prone on your tummy. But if this is feeling nice, you're not feeling any knees or joints talking to you, let the body become soft. Send breath all the way to the lower belly and enjoy that nourishment. If it's comfortable to sink your hips down to your heels, just find the version that suits you tonight. Notice if we're gripping in shoulders. Is the jaw or forehead tight? Where can we soften? And if you are still in the reclined hero, gently support yourself coming up. Nice and slow, and adjust to come into your version of your child's pose. As you're laying on your bolster, breathing here, see if you can feel the extension of the belly as it presses into the bolster, and then the belly becoming soft as you breathe out. On your next inhale, you can just switch your cheek so your right cheek meets your bolster. And as you're enjoying your child's pose, I'll just share a little tidbit that I found out today, that we often talk about being sleep deprived or calling ourselves in a sleep debt or a deficit. And if we're short, what was it, an hour? I wrote it down as that was interesting. If you're short, it can take up to 4 days to make up for 1 hour of lost sleep. So think about those days where you went to bed a little bit later than you planned. You can actually take over 4 days to kind of make up for it, assuming that you had good sleep habits the next 4 days. You know, and if that's the case, it could take up to 9 days to kind of get back on track. So I just thought that was interesting. We wonder why we feel tired. All right, we're going to gently come up on your hands and knees, pressing yourself up and away, coming into a tabletop. I'm going to work through some cat-cows. Just moving the spine. We're going to inhale as we look up, and exhale as we reverse and round through the spine. Just move with your breath. Every time you look up, you're inhaling. Every time you round, you're exhaling. See if you can be aware of each part of the back, vertebra by vertebra, as it reverses and curves, just like a little zipper. Coming back to tabletop. You're going to tuck your toes here, and we're going to press up to a nice down dog with nice bent knees. Walk it out. And if this is not comfortable on your feet, let's see, we can come into a standing ragdoll hold if that's a little bit nicer on your feet. But if this is okay, walk it out, alternate knee bends. And then we're going to take the left foot high, three-legged dog, and bring the left leg forward, setting up for half pigeon. So have your bolster in front of you. Oh, what do you need?
I was going totally different way with that.
Were you gonna flip?
Nope.
Oh, you do you. So setting up for half pigeon. So what I like to say is take a block under that left hip, which I don't have handy, but if you have your block at home, it just gets you into that nice alignment. And then you keep your chest high for a moment. My back foot can be, I'm actually more in a deer bit because I don't have my block, but your back leg is extended. And then as you're ready, you can lower down onto your bolster. And now if this feels like it's a long way down, you can take another block on top of your bolster and just allow the block to meet the forehead center. Do you want me to get you a block? Yeah.
No.
Oh, I was okay. Awesome.
I think we're good.
Okay. So do whatever you need to do to get into that position. And if this is not feeling comfortable, then you can back up and take your legs in the shape of the deer pose. It's kind of like a pinwheel shape. And then facing your torso forward, you're still getting those hip openings here. So find what's comfortable. But if deer or if pigeon feels nice to sink down into that bolster, be heavy. Allow the body just to sink in wherever you are. So I'm just giving you a few different options here. If you're going to be doing the recording multiple times, maybe you try something different than you've done before. You can do deer pose sometimes. You can do your half pigeon. Do high in the chest or low. Connect with that breath. Send breath wherever you feel that tension, that tightness. Half pigeon is much easier to say. The Sanskrit, I wrote it down as Utthita Ekapada Raja Kapotasana. Say that 5 times fast. Half pigeon is much easier. So we're going to breathe here. This is a very yin type posture. We're getting into those hips, but as we know, we carry our emotions and our tightness, our stress in our hips. So they often can be tight. Let's give them some love. While we're in our pigeon or our deer, I just wanted to share a couple of tips that I looked up here. Just some sleep tips that you might not have heard of, but you've all heard of the, careful of your caffeine and alcohol consumption and, get a nice routine for bed, but some things that might be new or newish to you. Always making sure your bedroom is cold. I know we probably know that, but we sometimes forget. So a cold, dark bedroom, really important. And if you haven't used an eye mask, it might be something to try. I think I might try that because I do have room darkening blinds, but I still manage to get that little bit of light. And maybe earplugs if you find there's a lot of noise that you're not aware of. Something that I thought was really helpful is the 3-2-1, it's called. No food 3 hours before bed. No work 2 hours before bed. I'm guilty of that. And no screens an hour before bed. I'm definitely guilty of that. So those are the, I think for me, are the major things that will be helpful. All right, I have some more to tell you, but let's gently help yourself up and out. We're going to tuck that back leg if you're in half pigeon and come up into your down dog. We'll walk it out. And then we're going to rise with the right foot, three-legged dog, and bring that right knee forward. And we're going to set up for either your deer or your half pigeon with your right leg forward, left foot back. And again, the same options. You can use that block under the right hip this time. Bolster to sink down onto. You might want to try either stacking fists to meet the middle of the forehead, or a block, just that pressure is quite nice if you're folded down. Connect with the breath again. See if you can soften into the face, soften into the shoulders. Finish some of the tips here. Of course, gentle yoga was on there, so not tooting our own horn here, but I think there is some benefit to it. Not only just for mindfulness, but also for softening into the muscles. If our muscles are tight, they tend to get restless, I guess, like that spastic motion when we're sleeping, and that can keep you awake or wake you up. A tea ritual I thought was neat. It's not something I've been consistent with, but if you find something consistent, it kind of signals your body, oh yeah, we're getting into sleep mode, just like a child. When you have a consistent sleep routine, they kind of know this is what we're doing and sleep comes next. And a warm bath an hour before bed. I thought that was interesting because I often will have a bath and go straight to bed, but it said about an hour before bed. And keeping your sleep routine similar, whether it's the week or the weekend. And I know that's difficult for a lot of us because we want to sleep in, but maybe if we commit to some good sleep hygiene, maybe we won't feel we need that on the weekend. Maybe not, but just food for thought. And reading before bed. I know for me, I will tend to fall asleep, start nodding if I'm reading, which is doing the trick, but there is some science to reading. Just winds you down that much more. And another thing that I knew this, but I think I just got reminded of it again. Our most productive times to be asleep that you don't want to miss is from 10 p.m. till 2 a.m. So whether you get that solid 8 hours earlier or later, if you're not getting that 10 to 2, you're getting robbed of when your body does most of its repair. So the Ayurvedic principles of the doshas, if you're familiar with doshas, the Pitta dosha governs our sleep between 10 and 2. And this is when your body recalibrates the major systems. So let's say you don't go to bed till 11, you've already shortened yourself there. And one other thing too is we often awake between 3, 4 a.m. And if that is you, what I understand and what I've been told for myself is cortisol is spiking. There can be different reasons, but something interesting was perhaps your glucose is taking a dive and melatonin dips, and then the cortisol spikes and you wake up. So it was recommended in what I was researching to have a little fatty and sweet snack. So like a cheese and fruit, like not a lot, just a little bit, just before bed. Or maybe a small glass of milk and honey. So if this seems to be a problem, you're always waking up between 3 and 4, that might be worth a try too. So let's stay for 3 more breaths in your pigeon or your deer that you're in. complete, you'll gently press yourself up and walk it out in your down dog, alternating your knee bends. Or if you have a preferred. Restorative yoga always goes so fast. Like I could do this forever, I think, because I feel I need it too. So we only have a short moment before we actually are going to settle in here. So let's come onto our back. Take a bend in your knees, plant your feet here. And I'm going to show you a couple different options. We're going to get into a little bit of a hip opener, but kind of a happy baby version. So let's take the left knee into chest and the right knee into chest, but widen the knees. So you can just hold right behind the knees. That's kind of nice. So all we're doing is pulling into the chest. We're getting that compression into the hip creases. Want that nice and tight in the hip creases. And this right here, this is a version of happy baby. So you're doing exactly what we're trying to do in that pose. If you prefer to hold your feet, go ahead, but it's not necessary. You can take a little bit of rocking motion if you'd like. So if you really have that tight compression, you might feel that. It almost feels like stiffness, but it's that compression motion. And the thought behind this is we're compressing the flow right there, that the fascial lines. And when we do release, we get that flood of hydration in there, and then it offers some release. So keeping that nice and tight, but making sure you're breathing. And hold for 3 more, mindful breath. Gently release your feet down to the mat. Take your feet wider than your mat and just allow the knees to fall in. That's that internal rotation of the hip that we don't often do. So it may feel a little bit foreign as long as it's not painful. See if you can just allow a little bit of that direction pointing in. All right, knees come back up. And if you have a soft block, but I would recommend your bolster if you've got one, I want you to place it under your hips, and we're going to take legs up using your bolster. Unless you have a wall space right there, you'd like to use that, but I'm going to show you using your bolster or a block. So basically, you just want to place it under the low back, sacrum. Yeah, isn't that good? So if you get the right position, it shouldn't be any work at all to keep your feet up. If you're feeling like you're holding your legs up, then see if you can reposition. And then if you are just not loving that, you can always shimmy over to the wall. And here you can just do that little self-adjustment, walking the shoulders under, creating that little bit of space. And if you're at home, a nice little fun trick you can do is if you have one of those foam cushion, even a soft block, not a cork block, please. You can place it on the soles of your feet and you can balance it here. Don't do cork, trust me. Not a good idea.
Black eyes.
We don't want any black eyes. But it is kind of a nice, like we used to just use the foam square mats, the sit cushions. I think, yes, they are in the Care Feathers package, so I know some of you have those. You can just place them on the soles of your feet, and that just brings your feet into that balance. It's a natural way to align here. And if you are trying balancing it, you can just play with a little bit of point and flex. while keeping that balance. And this is my top favorite pose for sleep. This is an inversion, even though we're laying on the ground. Taking your feet higher than your heart has many benefits. So here we're beginning to take the load of work off the heart. So that sends the heart into more of a rest mode. We're beginning to drain the pooling that has occurred in the legs and the feet over the day. And not only the blood, but we're beginning to help the lymphatic system work a little more efficiently. And if you've done any of the lymphatic series that we've done in the past, that is our body's biggest immune defense and our detox system. So the lymph, it works at taking all the toxins out of the body and flushing. And when it's not working properly, you might feel sluggish, or you might have more sicknesses. There's so much. You can look up your lymph system. Quite interesting. So something you might want to put into your regular bedtime routine is maybe if you're going to read before bed, you take your legs up the wall and you hold your book and read, maybe. Or maybe you're listening to a podcast book and you're doing this. It can just be 5 minutes. Maybe you want to do longer, but don't feel defeated that you need to do it for so long. It all helps. And if you're one of those ones that you're just sitting here and you're getting a little bored, you can play. You can take your legs out to a V. Hang out here for a bit. You can just kind of play with any movements, because while we're doing this, we're all inverted. So you can alternate knee bends and just have a little fun if you want. Your feet out, do some hip rotations. In and this is one that I think I can hang out into this for a little bit. It's one of my favorites, but for the sake of our class, we won't let you fall asleep like this. We'll take your knees down, plant them on the floor, and this brings us into a supported bridge, just like this. So this is a sneaky way of a little inversion as well, because we are elevating above the heart still. So just a nice, gentle support. And while we're here, you can call back that intention you might have set. And we will be setting up in a moment for a little mini nidra-ish shavasana. And you can think of how you would like to set up your position. So if you have your bolster, I would recommend taking kind of a queen pose. That's where you take your bolster lengthwise along the spine. And the legs can either be bent and planted on the floor, or they can be Supta Baddha Konasana, blocks under the thighs, or whichever you choose. But that's one I'm going to invite you to try if you haven't. So that said, we're going to help yourself off your bolster and set up for your shavasana. Yeah, so hopefully you've enjoyed this so far. I know my body's definitely gotten into the mode. So if this is your jam, this is restorative yoga. I mean, we'll have a recording of this, but There's plenty that you can find as well to do from home. But we'll give you some time to set up your shape here. And we'll be in our Shavasana for a little long, so make sure that you feel supported, heavy. Okay, good choice. Yeah, yeah. So if it's not quite feeling right, you can take any adjustments now and just give that body some love. Yeah. Well, if you fall asleep at home there, I will sign off and just leave you. So in studio, I'm sorry, they're going to wake you up. All right, so we're settling back in the shape of Shavasana with your toes. And let's begin by taking tightness into the feet. We're going to squeeze the toes, squeeze the feet. Really bring that tightness, move the tightness up the legs. It's the lower leg, the calves, the kneecaps, all tightened. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Take a breath in. And as you exhale, release. This time, let's bring tightness into the toes, the feet, working at the legs, the kneecaps, the quads, and this time into the belly. Low belly begins to tighten, the chest tightens, beginning to fist, squeeze the fists, tighten into the arms, the shoulders, upper chest, all squeezing tightly. Breath in, release. We'll work again, tightness through the lower body, moving up through the belly, the chest, the arms, the fists, shoulders, this time into the face, the jaw, the eyes, the forehead, eyebrows, all squeezing tightly. Whole body as tight as you can be. The tighter you can, the more release is available. Take a nice breath here. And as you exhale, whole body drops. Draw a nice breath into the low belly. And as you exhale, allow the eyes to fall heavy in their sockets. In the space, the crease of the eyebrows softens, the jaw relaxes. And the body feels held by the surface below. Connecting with that intention of rest, of sleep, of peace, whatever it may have been. Calming that into the heart space here so that it may become so. And we'll send awareness into the palm of the right hand. Awareness goes into the left hand thumb. Second finger. Third. Fourth. Fifth. All 5 fingers. Palm of the hand. Back of the hand. The wrist. Forearm. Elbow. Upper arm. Shoulder. Down the side rib. Across the waist. Crest of the hip. Across the thigh. Through the knee. Down the shin. Round the ankle.
And across the top of the foot. And down to the heel, and the sole of the foot. And the right big toe. Second toe. Third. Fourth. Fifth. All toes together. And now the whole right side of the body. Shift awareness across the body, landing in the palm of the left hand. Moving into the left hand thumb. Second finger. Third. Fourth. Fifth. All 5 fingers. Back of the hand. Palm of hand. Around the wrist. Moving up the forearm. Elbow. Upper arm. Shoulder. And down the left side body. Across the waist. The crest of the hip. Down the thigh. Through the knee. Down the shin. Around the ankle. Across the top of foot. Into the heel. The sole of the foot. Into the left big toe. Second toe. Third. Fourth. Fifth. All 5 toes together. Now the whole left side of the body. Whole left side. And draw awareness to the base of both heels. Moving up to the base of both ankles. Both calves. And the soft under knee. Moving up the back of thigh. Into the butt cheeks. The lower back. Mid back. Upper back. Neck. Shoulders. Across the skull. All the way to the crown of the head. Awareness moves across the forehead. Right eyebrow. Left eyebrow. Right eye. Left eye. Right cheek. Left cheek. Nose. The space just under the nose. Upper lip. Inside right cheek. Inside left cheek. The teeth. Roof of the mouth. Tongue. Bottom lip. Chin. Jaw. Front of the throat. Right shoulder. Left shoulder. Upper chest. The softness of the lower belly. Pelvic bowl. The whole front side of body. Now the whole back of body. Legs. Arms. Whole body together. Whole body awareness. The whole body throughout. your attention to the breath. Feel the movement of breath as it nourishes the body. Every inhale, every exhale, bringing that life, that prana within the body. And we'll begin to count the breath. Every inhale, every exhale is one count. Starting at 11, working to 1. Inhaling, exhaling. 11. Continuing on your own breath. Counting breath. And releasing the count wherever you are. Just coming back to normal breath. We'll bring your awareness into opposites. The duality of both sinking and floating. Allow the body to sense into heaviness as the body sinks down. Heavier, heavier. Sink. Body comes into lightness. Lighter, weightless, floating. And now the duality. Can you experience both heavy yet light? Light and heavy. You're releasing that and drawing a sensation of cold. Body dips in temperature. Colder, colder still. Dipping into freezing. Coldness. Body begins to warm. Warmth moves through the toes, moving up the legs, heating into the belly, the chest, the arms, the fingertips, the cheeks, and the skin on the face, all beginning to warm. Warmth, heat. And now sense the duality, both hot and cold together. Cold and hot. And begin to see a red glow at the base of your feet. And this red glow begins to brighten and spread out, a halo of red lighting up the base of you. Feeling grounded, connected, moving up through the body as the glow turns to orange. Just under the belly button, the sense of orange glowing, surrounding you. This creative spark, the center of pleasure, of joy, orange. Moving up higher, just under the breastbone, as the color shifts to yellow. The center of I am, your power. The color yellow begins to spread out and encircle you. Moving up to the heart space, the color turns to green. And the green envelopes you, spreading out from the heart, circling around the body. The space of compassion, love, self-love, and love for others, empathy. Moving up to the throat space as the color shifts to blue. This is your voice of truth, speaking and being heard, listening as the blue expands, encircles the whole of the neck. Shifting up to the third eye space between the eyebrows as the color shifts to indigo. This deep, dark blue begins to spread out, encircle the space around the eyebrows. This is your inner knowing and your connection, the gut instinct, the trust, the wisdom. And shifting to the crown, floating just above the head as the color shifts to violet. And this is your space of connection, divinity, spirituality, oneness. As the purple begins to spread and encircle like a wreath. Feeling the body as it's heavy against the floor. As you come back into this room, back to the breath, back to the sounds that surround you. And taking some little squeezes to the muscles in the legs and the arms, movement in the toes and the fingers. And taking the head gently from side to side. As you come back into the here and the now. And drawing a deeper breath into the low belly. And allowing it to release. Welcome yourself back to the space. And drawing the knees into chest. As you give yourself a squeeze. Allow the body to fall onto the left side into the fetal position. Landing here. And it is here that you welcome in a sense of complete gratitude as the heart swells with a sense of gratitude for self, for gratitude for taking this necessary time for yourself, for nourishment, replenishment. Allow this gratitude to expand further into your day, for those around you. Bring yourself up to seated as you're ready. Hands at heart, the practice of Yoga Nidra is now complete. Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om Tat Sat.
Thank you so much. I'll sign off here. Hope you have a wonderful sleep. And if you have any questions, of course, reach out and I'd be happy.